25 seconds remaining before the start of the first of 5 rounds on Pool Party by Histo, the first map to for this TMGLC final, and you can see the rankings at the next to you on the left-hand side of the screen with the totem. Everybody having their points tally. 5 seconds to go. I think Wirtz, I will let you take it away for this first round. We are underway for the Trackmania Grand League Challenger final for Fall 2021.
Alright, let's get into it. Otak won the regular season ahead of Mime. They were dominant in the multiplier format, both having nearly 2,000 points, and then Evan was third with 1,100. But now we are in the finals where those have just been rounded down to point advantages. You can see them on the scoreboard. And now we are playing rounds mode. There are no multipliers. This is just about consistent, fast racing, about placing high. The winner of each round will get 15 points. And the 4 players with the most points at the end will qualify for the head-to-head. Let's get into it. Mime, the fastest player in the field, on paper is leading this one ahead of Otak, the 2 favorites, followed by McQuattro in 3rd and Hedra in 4th. After the dirt part here, important to build up a lot of speed, and Otak is actually catching up to Mime, getting a little closer. The gap less than a 10th right now before we get to the dirt dive into this turn. Gotta go low and then cancel it wide. Otak almost too wide, but he holds the line just in place. Final few turns before the identity. Drift to the right here, build up speed, and now going between the poles. Mime still has this lead. Should be a map win for him, and he will take the first round. 1:16:31, and the pace is already much faster than in previous rounds.
Yeah, indeed. It's been much faster than what we've seen in the Challenger versus Open. Mime already right out of the gate, putting the heat on already. Although with that particular heat, he's going to be having a little bit of a not rough time, but he's going to have to play a couple of really decent rounds and potentially pray for a mistake once for Otak to actually erase the starting gap of 20 points that we had, as we're already starting round number 2.
Yeah, and there we can see like the gaps, like the point gaps, are already pretty big because, well, they're gonna stay bigger because 100 points when you only get 15 points per win makes that a much bigger advantage here. So Otak really has sort of have a foot in the door already of the head-to-head if he can keep up getting 1st and 2nd places like that. Positive surprise to see McQuattro doing so well and getting those 9 points for himself. He has a bit of a gap to cover up to top 4 if he wants to make it to the head-to-head. Here again, though, up there, and we see also that Evan now has gotten off to a fast start. It's these 3 players battling for the top in this round.
As we're moving on to the dive into the dirt, diving low, McQuattro getting a little bit high and losing a fair bit of time there, managing to recoup a bit of speed on the exit there, moving up into P2 in a battle for P2 versus Evan before the identity. Mime having a gap of around a 10th, less than a 10th right now. Is still a fairly nicely knit group. Into the identity we go. It's the second slalom. Evan touching. Mime versus McQuattro. McQuattro completely full stop picks. Mime wins, and through the trials and tribulations of Evan and McQuattro, it's Otak taking the 2nd place, Hydra in P3. Evan finishing in 4th position at the end of that.
Oh, that's rough there for both McQuattro and for Evan. Crashing in the pole section, that will be another 2nd place for Otak, who says, yes, please, don't mind if I do. And first 2 rounds, Mime and Otak, 1st and 2nd. And I wonder if it's going to be a show from them all the way to the finish line. They are, of course, also battling, not just for top 4, but for the positions within the top 4. So a lot at stake there. Rossi hitting the wall in that slide. Will just go full speed, will make the jump, but lose a lot of time together with Evan. Big mistakes in the first 20 seconds. Hedra, the next to follow. We have 5 players left before the first pulse action.
Through the slalom we go. The first slalom is currently Mime and Wirtual battling for the lead right now, 1st and 2nd. Otak in P3, McQuattro in P4 alongside with Energize, so it's still a fairly tightly knit top 5 at the moment. Through the dirt part, Mime currently holding the lead by a slender amount. Otak having lost a lot of time at the exit of the dirt part, so he's going to be out of that fight. It's a golden opportunity for Mime right now to score more than 3 extra points, but he completely misses the slide. No way! And that's going to be yielding Wirtual the lead ahead of McQuattro, who's battling with Energize for 3rd place. Rossi moving up into P4 after a sluggish start, as we are going to be moving on to the identity identity in a few corners time. Wirtual having a gap of around a 10th compared to MiQuattro, energizing P3 a little bit further behind. Wirtual having less speed compared to MiQuattro. Is going to be to the line, and it's going to be decided, and MiQuattro at the line for 6,000ths takes the round win with a 116.582, energizing P3. Otak and Hydra complete the top 5. Evan, Mime, and Razi down in P8. Razi, who was also looking pretty good for a top 4 finish, has made a huge mistake in the identity, but Mime, that nose slide was painful.
What a snipe there for MiQuattro. Beautiful. And that's what, like, as a sake, right? You have to win those rounds when it matters. Everyone else crashed, and just consistent pace and a little bit of risk at the end to secure that one will grant him 15 points. Rossi, who crashed in the start, almost actually had a big score himself, but he did make a mistake in the final identity there, so still only at 14, and now another one. Oh no, this is not a great start to the match here for Rossi, unfortunate. But the others are very close. This time, no mistakes apart from that one. A much closer battle. Mime and Otak side by side. Beautiful racing lines from both. But Mime going very low here, just directly to the road, almost crashes the pole. I think he might have, and at least with that, loses a lot of speed and drops 5 positions here. So a big opportunity for Otak to get ahead in the scoreboard even further. He's battling with MiQuattro right now. The dirt dive setting up wide there. Otak just going in early, and MiQuattro will have a better exit, maybe even a better approach here to get a little bit closer. But it is still Otak in the lead, ahead of Evan and MiQuattro before the final drift, and then the identity. Otak with a lot of speed if he can hold this through the turns, barely leaving a couple of pixels on either side of his car into the finish, and what a winning time. 0.2 from Otak.
Just beneath 0.3 as well. That is a very, very strong round from Otak, winning ahead of MiQuattro. We're following with Evan. Unfortunately, he crashed out in the middle of the final slalom, and yeah, Mime, that hit at the pole at the second dirt part, he looked like he might have gotten away with it, but that was not without any consequences for him, dropping down a fair amount of places, as we're already on the final round of pole party. We're already done with map 1 here.
Yeah, this goes fast, and like if you don't get into the rhythm, like Rossi's done so far, it can be very tough, because suddenly now you might start to feel it, and it's already over. You're going to the next map, and this is an opportunity wasted. Oof. Rossi almost into the pole. He will save it here, but this has not been a good start to the match for him, and he has to look for more opportunities later on. Otak, no slide in the most crucial turn there, and he will drop down. Now an opportunity for Mime to try to close the gap, with Otak and Wirtual falling far behind on the scoreboard.
Yeah, indeed. This time, it's another opportunity for Mime to actually get that. Let's hope that this time for him, it works out. Oh, manages to barely avoid the pole. For me, that was just a few pixels away from getting a hit there, but Mime continuing to lead ahead of Evan in P2. Energizing P3, having more speed than Evan at the dirt dive, making a battle for second. Real and truly happened. MiQuattro a bit further behind, waiting to pounce, catching up to Evan, moving up into third place, as we're going to be moving on to the identity with just one corner left. MiQuattro having a bit of a slide on the way out, losing a bit of time. Mime energizing Evan battling for P2 at the moment. It's going to be Evan having the advantage in the speed, and Mime takes the win with a .362. Still a really, really big, good time for Mime at the end of this round. Evan in P2, energizing P3 at the line. MiQuattro fourth, Hydra, Razi, Otak, and Wirtual complete the top 8.
Yeah, and Mime is closing this gap up to Otak a little bit. He got 3 map wins there, Otak with 1. So Mime is getting closer. And the question is if he can close that 20-point advantage that Otak had. We're going on to the second map here. The map order is randomized, so we will just have to wait a little bit to see what we are going up against.
And we're going to be bolt holes by Rockets. So yeah, we've already pretty much presented this map before. We don't really need to present it anymore, and we don't really have the time to present it because now we're back with those warm-ups. We're going to be heading straight into the action right now on bolt holes. The second map out of 5 here in the TMTLC final is underway.
Yeah, you only get a couple of seconds to get ready. We're going right away, so you have to have this memorized from the get-go, and the players have put in great amounts of practice into all 5 maps that we'll be playing today. Bolt holes here, the best, personal best from any player is from Mime, a 1:18.09. That is 0.3 away from the world record. So Mime the fastest on paper, but we've seen this map time and time again today that the ending section, the 3 identity jumps, is where rounds are decided, so nothing said yet. though Mime with the early lead. Otak being able to follow a little bit wide on the reactor wall, but enough to stay in second. Better turn here, and he's catching up to Mime in first. More inside on the dirt, that's going to cost him exit speed. Mime will propel a little bit ahead before they get into the full speed part, and then the identity.
Yeah, it seems to be a bit yo-yoing there between Mime and Miquatro. Miquatro managing to catch up a little bit with that loss of exit speed there at the jump, and now Miquatro losing a little bit of time to Otak before the identity comes up. Here we go for the 3 jumps. Mime, Otak, Miquatro, and Evon, and a mess up by Mime. It's going to be an instant retirement, I'm assuming, there for Mime, or maybe just a respawn to try and get that round across the line, and it's going to be Otak taking the round win. Yes, he manages to clear the finish with a 118.180. Miquatro second, Evon third, Wosal in P4, Hydra, Razi, and Energize, or actually Energize in P5, Hydra P6, Razi P7, and no points at all for Razi and Mime as well.
And that is an amazing time from Otak. That's the fastest time that we've seen all day, and he just put it off in the first round without any warm-up. So that is a really, really astonishing winning time. Curious to see if he can keep that up for 4 more rounds, because then he could very well just win this final.
Yeah, we're already starting with round number 2. Hydra having the early lead ahead of Mime and Evon in the top 3, as they are both going through the first loop right now. Hydra and Mime still 1-2. Otak in amongst the leading group, and currently no big mistakes to report. 1/10.5 between first and last as we go down to the transfer.
Yeah, and one thing here, Miquatro's been driving so well that despite his starting position in 7th, he's now in 5th on the scoreboard, only 5 points away from overtaking Hydra. So he's really making this comeback happen and trying to get into the top 4 here. Let's say he's trying to get into the top 1 as only Mime is in his way. Mime with that low jump strategy will propel a little bit ahead, but Miquatro really has gotten into the flow of things already, and he's looking for it again in the second round. We'll have to see as they get towards the identity now who's going to have the best approach. Mime may be diving a little bit early. Miquatro might have more speed for it, but no, Mime stays ahead. Evon joining the battle. It's Evon, Otak, Mime, and Miquatro. Miquatro with a lot of speed trying to catch up to Mime. It's going to be a far gap to close. Mime should have this round to his name, and he will. Close battle for the 3rd spot, but Hydra takes it ahead of Evon, and Otak made a mistake.
Yeah, I think you barely saw one ghost there. Completely messed up the lineup for that first jump. It was Otak who was right there in the battle. He completely bunked at the first jump through the bolt holes, and so he will not be able to score big points. He's still leading by 164, so that 20-point gap still coming in handy for him. But yeah, he's made a mistake in the round where he could potentially have scored some solid points, even if it was a deficit versus Mime there.
Yeah, and now it's only 2 points between Hydra and Miquatro. Top 4 make it to head-to-head. Hydra has almost lost his 3rd place advantage in 8 rounds, so not the greatest start for him. Maybe he fancies the maps coming up later as better for himself, but there is a Finn that's rapidly gaining points below on the scoreboard.
So you can see Miquatro having a bit of a dodgy landing there at the transfer, so he's getting separated from the top 4 pile. Currently it's Otak, Hydra, Mime, and Energize. Energize currently sitting in P4 as Hydra and Otak are neck and neck for the lead right now, with Mime a little bit behind in P3, just 300s behind in P3. That's definitely not a lot as we're moving on to the wall ride right now. A bit more speed at the exit of that little drop there for Mime, and they're regrouped. Miquatro up into P4, battling with Energize for P4. Oh, Eclipse! That's unfortunate for Energize there, and that's going to be sending him out of contention. Mime, Otak, Hydra, 1, 2, 3, into the jumps, and it's going to be a mistake from Hydra, and for Otak as well, promoting Miquatro up into P2, but is it? Razi coming back at him for 2nd position. Mime should have the round to his name right here. He has, and Razi at the line for 4,000th takes 2nd place away from Miquatro.
That was so close. I can't believe the double mistake there. Both players trying to carry too much speed. It would pay off if they landed it, but a small mistake there means none of them get it. And Mime and Miquatro will happily take those points together with Rossi. So now, if you look at the scoreboard, Miquatro's up in the top 4.
Miquacho up into the top 4, and more importantly, 5 points between Mime and Otak, which, remember, in the grand scheme of things, could yield a different seed in terms of who you might be having to fight against in the head-to-head should you make it. So it's going to be very important to follow the points battle all across the board here in this Trackmania Grand League Challenger Finals. We're on to round number 4 already on both holes. Mime leading ahead of Energize, Miquacho, and Otak, as well as Razi onto the transfer. A bit of a weird landing from Miquacho. He lands sideways. Energize clipping the top of the CP as well. So we're already 2 down in this battle. We're now down to 6 players into contention, and the gap is somewhat spread out. The top 2 are still very close. So Otak completely out of the way right now. In this round, it's Mime versus Hydra for the lead right now with a 2/10 buffer over Razi.
And Hydra has such a good opportunity now to close the gap to Miquacho again. Mime with a good opportunity to get ahead of Otak. These 2 things could flip the scoreboard in this very round if they both nail the identity, but we cannot call this too soon. Those 3 jumps are so hard to line up, especially if you go for a fast strategy here, going from the side like Hydra does. Will have the speed for it now. Gonna try to get a bit closer to Mime, but not fancy and risking too much here. Will even release a little bit to make sure that he gets through. That will allow Rossi to overtake for second. But I think Hydra here will happily take a third. Mime winning yet another round though.
Yeah, Mime winning another round, taking the lead in the standings, and Hydra retaking 3rd place. He will gladly take the points for 3rd. But yeah, Razi managed to score some decent points for himself as well, and he should be looking to, well, he's going to try to get off of the bottom of the leaderboard. It's going to be a really tough battle with that, with the gap that he had at the beginning. But yeah, definitely a good point haul for Razi there. Nicely done, as we're already on the final round of both holes. Map 2 already almost over.
Yeah, and what a start though from Mime. I'm counting the rounds here, and Mime's won 6 out of the first 9 rounds. So incredible win rate here, and it's just interesting to see because throughout the regular season we saw players wait and wait and wait for the big multipliers, but now when every round counts, you see Mime with like a 60% win rate just about. So very impressive for him that he's able to do this so consistently, even against some of the world's best here, and he's about to do it again, almost out on his way this time, but Otak has made a mistake, his closest competitor in the scoreboard, Miquacho as well, so another opportunity for Mime and Hydra here to get ahead.
Yeah, indeed, Mime looking to extend his gap. Evon right there with him, the 2 compatriots keeping it nicely grouped within a 10th of a second of each other, and then Hydra in 3rd place. Yeah, this is, as you said, a golden opportunity for him to continue to cement his advantage over Miquacho. He's got Razi right there behind him as well in P4. Might be looking to make another snipe at the line on this final round of bolt holes as we're going through the jumps right now. Here we go, and the top 4 make it clear. Evon maybe with a bit more speed. We're gonna have to wait and see. Yes, he does. He need to have a little bit more speed as we're gonna be moving on to the final jump to the line. Is it gonna be Mime or Evon? And Mime has released. Did you see that? I think he did indeed release at the end, and that's going to be allowing Evon to take the round for 0.02 of a second ahead of him, and Razi in P3.
Mime really didn't want to pull an enter there and hit the finish line, so he saved it. 3 points lost, but he gets 12 for it anyways, and he stays ahead in the match there. I think that's a safe play, knowing you should not push too much, and with that, he still stays ahead in the match.
Yeah, indeed. And with that, he's pretty much playing really safe right here. He's like, okay, that might be a bit of a risky take to try and go full send into the finish. With that angle, I'm just gonna be backing off and ensure the points win. Even though it's not gonna, he's gonna be 12 and not 15 points. It's going to be moving on to Launchpad for our 3rd map. Quick score recap after the first 2 maps have been played: 189 for Mime, 175 for Otak, 132 for Evon, and 97 for Hydra, currently sitting in P4, just 5 points ahead of Miquacho though. So yeah, still not all is done yet, and Wosal still a distant 6th, but he could very well catch back up with a few good rounds in the back for the Game War driver as we're already underway on Launchpad.
Yeah, first round underway. This is a good map for Evon. He has the best personal best out of anyone in the field, a 104.40 here. But we know a lot of it comes down to the ice part. Evon already a little bit off here though in the first round, falling off on the grass on the side a little bit. But here, the 2 ice slides, you have to get the correct angle and set up for the 2nd slide in time. Cancel it early so that you can get a clean landing. If you land sideways, you're gonna lose speed into this next part. And the players who have done it the best are 3 of the players in the top 4. It's Mime, Otak, and Hydra now battling for the big points.
Yeah, indeed. Currently, Mime having a 10th of a gap into the 2nd plastic part, coming up onto the small tech sequence of corners. right, then left, and then another right before the red boosters for the Identity. Otak trying to make a move for the lead potentially. Identity following the perspective of Mime right now. 2 ring CPs being crossed onto the reactor CP. Oh, and Otak bunks at the top, and Mime with a slow landing lets Evon through. Mime will finish in second place, just a few hundreds ahead of Hydra as well. Miquacho in P4, Razi P5, Wosal P6, Otak in 7th place following that mistake, and Energize. Oh, that was so close to the finish line, doesn't score anything.
But look at how much Evan was able to catch after that slow start. We just saw him down in like 6th or 7th, half a second behind. He still wins. He has incredible pace here, Evan. This is one of his best maps, and this is where he could potentially secure himself a spot in the top 4. With 4 more good rounds here, that could be onto something. But again on the start, losing a little bit to the fastest players. Rossi with a really good start. Hadra and Evan, though, quite far behind the field. But they are going to try their best before the ice. Here we could see some big differences. It's really important to set up in time. Wosal, not the best line, having to cancel awkwardly. And he falls behind the field. Looks like most players have landed clean, and we have a very close round on our hands now, GGeek.
Yeah, indeed. Energize managing to come up the best after the ice part, but look at the speed from Evon through the grass part. He makes it a 3-way fight for the lead, and Energize has buckled under pressure, clipped at the edge of the plastic part, and that's going to be game over right now for this round. Evon taking the lead ahead of Otak. Mime in P3, just a 10th behind the leader, as we're going to be moving on to the Identity now. Miquacho. Oh, and a mistake, it seems as though from Otak. Yes, it is. Evon and Mime 1 and 2. Evon a bit low. He touches the CP. Mime should be on course for a round win, and yes he does. A 105.001 for Mime, just ahead of Miquacho. Razi in P3, Wosal P4, Otak P5, Evon down in 6th with that blunder, or even down in 8th with that blunder, doesn't even finish.
But that is what you have to dare to risk, that low jump in the Identity. If you can land that, he would have won the round. So he took a calculated risk. He does pay the price for it here, Evon, but still 3 more chances to make something happen here. And Miquacho has actually been performing really well here in the shadows. Now has overtaken Hedra for that 4th place, just 2 points between those two. And Wosal's also doing pretty well, and he's only 20 points away to, or almost 30 here, to join those two for that fight. But nothing said here yet for the qualifying spots.
Yeah, indeed, and you can see the gaps, 111 for Miquacho, 109 for Hydra. It's still very much game on at this point. It's very much nip and tuck between these two for the final place in the head-to-head. And meanwhile, in the round, we've got Evon and Otak first and second. Otak losing a bit of speed compared to Razi, who managed to emerge a really nice 3rd place with a nice 69-point tally, but that might get altered at the end of this round. Evon and Otak first and second. Razi in P3 with the Identity coming up right now. Evon and Otak in that order. First ring cleared, 2nd ring cleared. This time no touching of the CPs, no touching of the reactor boost part, and Evon will sail to the win with a 104.640 at the end of the round for Evon. Wow. Razi 2nd, taking advantage of a slow landing from Otak to snipe 2nd place away from the Frenchman's hands. Hydra in P4 with Mime, Miquacho, Energize, and Wosal completing the ranking.
That's quite the step up to go from like 105 winning times to just banging out a 104.64. Incredible time from Evon there, and a well-deserved 15 points. He's building up quite the tally, but if we look at the scoreboard now, Mime has just left Otak in the dust by the looks of it. That's a 30-point gap all of a sudden, and Mime here, huge lead now to try to win the TMTLC.
Yeah, definitely trying to take revenge on the regular season, it seems like, maybe for Mime after losing on the regular season, maybe trying to take the top seed in the head-to-head, although maybe it might be it might not be the best thing to actually go for, because given the players that are in the TMGL side of the head-to-head on seed 1 and 4, that might be more of a curse than a blessing. In the meantime, in the round, Otak, Mime, Energize 1, 2, 3 with Evon and P4 a little bit further behind. Otak, Mime, and Energize are within each other pretty much. They're regrouped within the same Ghost at this point, although Otak dropped a little bit the ball in the plastic part. He manages to regain right here on Energize, and Evon makes it a 4-way battle for the lead. Onto the Identity we go. Evon with a bit more speed than Energize, and Otak makes it up into P2. Mime manages to avoid touching the top of the ring, and that's going to be Mime winning by just 18 thousandths. That was a really close race between the two Polish drivers. Energize and Miquacho in 3rd and 4th. Hydra in P5. Razi, Wosal, and Otak, who completely messed up, dropped down to P8. And I think we're going to have a tie as well for 4th place between Hydra and Miquacho. Yes, 121. Meanwhile,
wow,
Mime with 236.
That's scary, but very important for Mime there. Otak failed the final jump. Went from 2nd-ish to 8th place. So that gap is just building and building and building. And I'm wondering if you're Otak now, if you think, okay, I don't know if I can catch this gap. I might just have to try to defend for my top 4 spot. Mime is driving incredible right now. And if you're going to try to close a 40-point gap against him, you basically have to win every round.
Yes, as we're going to be moving on to the ice part right now. Evan, having made a huge mistake, he's going to be out of the running for this one. The ice part was one of the parts where he was able to catch up a lot of time, and unfortunately for him, he's going to be out of the running. Hydra as well, completely out down in P7. This is a golden chance for Miquacho to take the lead in the battle for P4. In the meantime, at the front, it's Otak versus Mime right now, battling for the win on the round. Mime having a bit more speed at the exit of the plastic part compared to Otak. He's going to try to recoup that advantage in the tech part before the identity, the top 2 into the final identity crossing of the day for Launchpad, and Mime completely messes up. Wosal joining Otak in the battle for the lead potentially. Who's it going to be at the line? Wosal with a good landing at the line. It's still Otak with a much better speed at the line. 17 thousandths ahead of Wosal. Miquacho in P3, Hydra in P4, Energize Evan and Rossi 5th, 6th, 7th. Mime has retired.
That was a very much needed win for Otak. His last round win was 10 rounds ago, just about. He won round 6, and now round 15, the final round, on Launchpad. He takes another win. A bit of a drought there between the wins of Mime and Evan, but he breaks their streak. He gets 15 points in a round where Mime failed, and that's huge.
That is very huge indeed. Just to have that leg up on Mime this round. We're gonna be moving on to Poolside then for our next map 4 out of 5 already. Man, time flies by. Time flies real fast. And yeah, we're already moving on to a bit of a timeout. Well, a bit of a break right here. We got 2 minutes of break before we go back into racing for the final 10 rounds, where we're just going to be ripping through them, and that gives us an opportunity to take a look at the scoreboard after the first 3 maps have been played. So Mime currently leading with 236 points, Otak second with 207 points, Evan third with 177, Miquacho fourth with 130, Hydra fifth with 128 points. This is looking extremely close again for that final spot. It's been close ever since, but yeah, it seems as though it's getting closer than ever.
Yeah, and the question is here, if you're Volsal, I mean, you have 10 rounds. Can you close that 20-30 point gap? It's possible. You're going to need a heroic performance here, because you basically have to beat both of them every round here to catch up. But it's not impossible. It certainly can be done, but Miquacho and Hydra are looking like the clear candidates to fight for that 4th spot. And then it's a question of where do the others stack up. We've seen Avalon get a lot of points, and maybe it's possible for him to get the 2nd slot here versus Otak.
Yeah, indeed. So in terms of the maps, in terms of the map times, I know we've already evocated this in the early round just before the match started. What are we looking at in Poolside, and who could be the firm favorite here?
So on Poolside, we've seen Avalon has the best personal best. He has a 1:11.03. To put that into perspective, that's almost world record. The world record is 1:10.98 from Mutta, who's going to play the finals tomorrow. So only 500s away from the world record there for Avalon, and he is probably the favorite here. We know Mime has some pretty interesting lines, Otak as well. There's a lot you can go for here, and we really just have to see what they fancy going for. In the 2-lap format, we saw some players try lines that they had practiced and it didn't work, like the water bounce technique. There's a lot, but we're just gonna have to see what they fancy, and then we can take stock of how it's gonna line up.
Yeah, so we're gonna be moving on to the start right away. Thank you very much for those key points, Wirtual, to actually keep an eye out on the race, Evan, with the best personal best, as you pointed out. And we're already underway with round number 16, map 4, getting underway right now on Poolside.
We are going live. Take a very clear note at the start. Oh no, Rossi. I was not going to point out this, but this line here on the grass, some players will go a little bit wider to get more speed across the platform. Here though, it looks like very even field. And oh, Evan's had an unfortunate landing. The favorite that we pointed out with the best personal best will not be winning this round. That is all it takes to be out of the fight. Here we will see some players go wide to try to get more speed on the dirt exit. Mime and Vosal doing that, catching back up through the field, but it's Otak in the lead with the inside approach. Here in this part, we'll see players going for this triangle to set up for a smoother line across the grass. And finally in this turn, we might see it. Oh no, players are going for the inside approach. You can go outside there for a little bit more speed. Now no slide versus slide, everyone basically going for the no slide, except for Otak, who is still in the lead, chasing another win. Could be a back-to-back win for him. Just needs to get the ending, the 3 water turns where you want to keep the wheels dry. Gets the first one. Energize is chasing together with Mime. They're getting closer. Energize is trying, but Otak holds this one in the final turn. Will win it. A 1:11.58. 15 more points. Energize second. Mime third. Hedra, Avalon, Wosal, Miquatro, and Rossi.
Miquatro and Rossi, and yeah, that's a good point for Hydra as well, who's going to be retaking that 4th place just ahead of Miquatro for 3 points. Mime dropping a few more points in favor of Otak right now. 23 points of a gap between 1st and 2nd as we're already starting with round number 2. And we also saw Energize that was actually following along as to get a bit of a preview of the guys further up in the field, and he goes for the slide strat as well, trying to cancel out the trying to retake the grip a little bit later on in the round as the wheels tend to dry and the grip comes back up. In the meantime, Wosal having made a mistake right at the start, so he'll be out of the running. Energize, Otak, Evan, Miquatro, and Mime, your top 5 at the exit of the first third part.
Energize stepping up huge here though, doing really well. Maybe not too late if he gets a great performance on this track. At least gonna give it his best. He got a 2nd place on the previous round here, up in 1st. This seems like one of the maps that he's really sought out, but it's so close. There's 5 players within 0.05 of a second here. Avon, Energize, Otak, Miquatro, and Mime all going for this one. Avon with the lead before the ending, just ahead of Energize as they jump to the checkpoint. Now Mime's made contact. He's out of the fight. Avon with the outside approach. They're extending, but he has to adapt his line. Beautiful save from Avon to stay alive in it. He's being chased down by Rossi, but he will secure the win there, just ahead of Otak and Rossi. What an ending from Avon.
Yeah, and I was actually following along at the first U-turn with Energize, who was the closest contender, but he went a bit too wide and floated off of the water at the 2nd U-turn, so that completely wrecked his chances of getting potentially a round win on the book for him. And yeah, Otak still managing to keep his streak of beneficiary points versus Mime going, and currently sitting on just a 16-point deficit now between himself and Mime at the moment. Everyone currently sitting in P3 and Miquatro P4, just 2 points ahead of Hydra right now as we're moving on to the next round. And we have a retirement already for Energize, who must have made a mistake that I didn't exactly comprehend, but yeah, indeed a retirement for the B-Genius player who's out of the running.
Yeah, DNF there. That's a bit rough. But it happens. We see that the gap has gotten closer between Mime and Otak. And Otak has some momentum right now, I feel, with those 2 wins. And now, well, he crashes this round as I'm saying that. So the caster's curse is very real and it happens. I am sorry. Let's go into the players in the top 4. Mime, Avalon, Miquatro, and Hedra. Huge fight here for the points. Miquatro and Hedra only 2 points apart. Hedra going for the slide approach will then have a sharper turn here. For that to go into 2nd place behind Mime, everyone's going to go for this wide approach here. Hedra sliding out though, and that's going to give Mime a huge lead ahead of Avon. Wosal joining for top 3 here together with Rossi. Someone hit the pole. Wosal's going to get 2nd, but what just happened? Who got into which position?
It was Avon, unfortunately. It was unfortunately Avon who was battling for 2nd position, going a little bit wide, and that was a pole if I ever seen one. Full straight on, and the virtual driver, I'm afraid to say, is no longer of this world. But thankfully, he managed to actually get back, and it seems that we have a technical pause. Maybe that was the reason behind Energize's retirement, yeah. It seems like. So, yeah, bit of a timeout now, and yeah, that's to actually suss out the issues with Energize. It seems like we're just going to be waiting on the word, potentially from the admins, to see when stuff will start back.
So it's 7 rounds to go. Miquatro and Hedra are tied for points. 7 more rounds to decide which one of them will make it to the head-to-head match and have a chance at qualifying for the league. That's crazy to just decide that in 7 rounds, but that's how close it is right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's gotta be the butt clench, but on every side of the on both sides of the leaderboard, on the side of Hydra and Miquatro, there's going to be, yeah, they're gonna be pretty apprehensive right now, as it seems as though the issues have been solved, and yes, it seems as though we have got Energized back in the game, and we are starting round number 4 on Poolside, round number 19 overall. We're almost to the final map, guys.
Yeah, 2 more rounds here before the last map that we have not seen yet, which is Icy Snake, coming up later on. But let's follow through now. Mime and Otak been so close throughout the regular season. Now they are just 22 points apart. Mime was able to extend a little bit more. But we saw Otak have a great couple of rounds string together before that. Here doing well again. Evan is up in first though. On the map that we saw was one of his best. He's close to the world record here in terms of personal best. And he's showing why right now. 800s ahead of anyone else. Before the uphill goes for a wide no-slide approach. He's going to come back in with a lot of speed. Just pushing through those narrow corners here. Will be caught up to by Mime with a better jump. Mime though straight into the pole. Not for long that he stays in first. Avon still on for this win, but Otak with more speed is going to try his very best to snipe this. But no, Avon holds it, and that's a good winning time. 1:11:20 to secure those 15 points.
That is a really, really good time. Otak, Razi, Hydra, Miquatro, Vosa, Mime, and Energize make up the rest of the rankings as we're going to be moving on to the final round of this map on Poolside. And Mime 267, Otak 255. Just 12 points of difference between the two main protagonists of this season.
Oh, with that crash, it puts Otak so close. Mime lost about 10 points there in that one round. So now, I mean, Otak's probably, you know, sensing blood in the water. He knows this is possible. Just has to beat him for the next 6 rounds to make that happen.
So, on to the final on the Poolside. Hydra having the best start out of anyone else. Miquatro in second, Otak and Mime in third and fourth. We also see Razi coming into the frame to make it a really nice, tightly knit top 5. Evon and Energize and Vosa having made huge mistakes. And Otak, you're right to point that out, having lost a bit of speed before the triangle. And so, he will leave that top 5. And now it's getting downgraded to a top 4 of sorts. Razi, Hydra, and Mime within each other pretty much. Miquatro a little bit further behind at about a car's length. Moving on to the second jump onto the plastic part. No, oh, slight threat for Razi. Oh, Miquatro trying to go for the smooth steer. He hits the wall. And now we're down to a top 3 fight between Hydra, Mime, and Razi. Oh my god. Mime hit the wall. Razi going for the low dive. He slides off.
This is such a mess.
Hydra moving up into the lead of this round right now. And that should be good enough. He should be able to take the win right here for MTP Esport. He does. In the 1:11.524. Mime in second. Otak in P3. Miquatro in P4. And yeah, it seems as though, yeah, Hydra will continue to cement his advantage over Miquatro here, and Mime just retakes 3 points ahead of Otak as we're going to be moving on to the final map.
And that is so huge for Hydra. That's his first round win in this match, and he gets it in a round where Miquatro crashes, extending now to 10-point advantage. Before we start playing Icy Snake, Hydra is looking for this top 4 spot, and he just needs to defend for 5 more rounds here on Icy Snake.
Yeah, before we get onto the final map of Icy Snake, just a quick word that I have from the admins. It was due to a internet connection issue that we had a pause in Poolside due to a disconnect of internet. That was the cause of the retirement of Energize on round 18. Anyways, 5 rounds left to go. The first of the 5 starting right now on Icy Snake.
So let's just take a look at the leaderboards again. The world record here is a 1:08:17. The fastest player in the field is Mime with a 1:08:39. As we see, Energized has crashed out a little bit in the start, but this is a battle right now between, we gotta say, around the top 5. Maybe Wolsal has a shot, but that's gonna be a difficult path to victory. For now, Miquatro versus Hydra and also Mime versus Otak are the 4 players to keep your eyes on. And right now, Evon in the lead, trying to take control of this first round of Icy Snake, but he still has the ending to deal with.
And we also see him getting overtaken. He hits, did he clip or did he hit the wall on the outside? But yeah, he's going to lose a lot of speed at the exit of that dirt part. Mime taking the lead ahead of Otak, Miquatro and Wosan in third and fourth with Hydra. Moving up into P5 onto the identity we go. The first ice slide. It seems to be clean. Oh, Wosan trying to go for the risk of clip. Hydra making a mistake as well, it seems like. And currently Mime leading by around 2/10. Otak trying to make it at the line, but no, it's still Mime taking the win by a 10th ahead of Otak. Razi and Miquatro third and fourth. Hydra in P5. So yeah, a few points lost there for Hydra, but still retaining the lead in the battle for P4 versus Miquatro here.
Yeah, it could have been a lot more. His wheels actually went off the edge, off camera, but he was able to reel it back in. Beautiful save by him to not lose too much to Miquatro and still stay ahead in that battle. Now into the second round, they know how much is at stake here. There's prize pool, there's spots in head-to-head, and there's chances at really establishing yourself in the league as one of the top names to be reckoned with. This is what it comes down to. Several months of work in these final few rounds. You got to push everything that you can to show that you want it when it matters right now.
In the meantime, in this round, Evon, Hydra, and Otak, 1, 2, 3. Mime making it a top 4. Right now, real nicely tightly grouped with Razi in behind him, top 5. Miquatro top 6, Wosal P7, and Energize, having made a huge mistake that we saw a little bit earlier on, has retired in this round. Evon still leading, going right around the outside of the dirt, trying to carry as much speed as he can. Otak and Mime neck and neck battling for P2. Hydra getting overtaken by Miquatro and Wosal. Onto the identity we go for all players. Oh, a bit of a clip from Miquatro. He's going to slide off the edge. That's going to be done for the Flying Fin. Evon in the lead ahead of Mime. Hydra battling with Otak for P3. To the line is going to go for Evon in the lead. Mime in second place and Otak in P3. The positions are cemented that way. Hydra P4, Razi, Wosal, Miquatro complete the finishers.
Oh, that is so huge for Hydra. He's going to gain 5 more points on the Quattro now with 3 rounds to go. That's 13 points in his favor to stay in that top 4 zone. Can Miquatro gain 13 points in the next 3? Or will Hydra hold the spot? We saw earlier today with Snow versus Link that it ain't over until the final round and the final identity. But this is looking like it's going in his favor.
Yeah, now the buffer gap to actually notice is 15 points. If he has more than a round win's worth with a more than a 1 risk gap with a retirement to take it into account between himself and Hydra, it's over. He cannot actually overtake him. So it's gonna start to actually click into the mind of Miquatro now that he needs to get the performances and needs to close that gap ASAP in order to stay in the fight for the top 4 positions. In the meantime, Otak having taken the lead ahead of Evon and Mime. Miquatro in P4, Wosal and Hydra in P5 and P6 at the moment. Energize in P7, Razi in P8, as we're going to be moving on to the identity now.
Now we're coming towards the Icy Snake part. We know this is where a lot of different start to happen. Miquatro had a mistake here last time. That time he lost to Hydra because of it. We see a small clip from Mime dropping down, giving Otak a chance to catch a little bit back up, but let's not take anything for granted yet. Last turn, Miquatro trying on the inside will lose a couple of spots. Does he stay ahead of Mime? No. Otak wins ahead of Mime and Evon. Miquatro in 4th, but importantly, he gains 2 spots in Hydra.
Yeah, he gains a few more points compared to Hydra in this one. That's going to be allowing him to close the gap a little bit here compared to the Frenchman. 15 points as well between Mime and Otak. This is the buffer point that we were talking about when battling for positions. Just 9 points between Hydra and with Miquatro with 2 rounds to go. This is looking pretty tense.
Oh, we saw a mistake early on. I think that was by Rossi though, so not too important for the grand scheme of things. Another one, that was Evon, I believe, hitting the checkpoint. So the cars are falling like flies here. But if Mime stays ahead of Otak this round, then he will successfully win this match. It will be impossible mathematically for Otak to catch back up. And the same might be said almost in the battle with Hydra and Miquatro. It's all going to be decided in these final 2 rounds and into this final few turns coming up right now.
So Mime and Miquatro first and second. Miquatro trying to take the lead away from Mime before the final dirt part. Oh, that's really close to the outside wall there from Miquatro, trying to carry as much speed as he can. He's still battling with Mime for the lead. Identity coming up right now. Otak in B3. This is not a good place for him to be, as we're going to be moving on to the identity right now. First ice slide. It seems as though it's made through clean for the first ones. Oh, Mime a bit slow, allowing Miquatro to make through into the lead. Hydra is joining Miquatro though. It's not over. Hydra potentially to the line. It's going to be Hydra for 28 thousandths of a second, taking the win with a .790. Miquatro second, Otak in P3, Mime in P4, and that's going to be a 12 points gap between 4th and 5th, I'm imagining now, as we're going to be moving on to the, yes, exactly, 194, 182 now. Miquatro needs a miracle in order to get that 4th place here. It's going to be a really, really tough fight now.
That's such a wild, important sniper Hydra to beat Miquatro on the line there from 200ths. And that really might just seal the deal now. Miquatro would have to win, and Hydra would have to make a big mistake. Hydra knows he just has to drive a solid race to the finish line. The same can be said for Mime here in the battle versus Otak, that he just needs to get there scot-free, and it should be enough to hold in these 2 battles. But we know pressure's on. We know this is not easy to do. in such a situation. Hedra almost into the wall, but he stays alive, and with a good line at that, up into top 3. McQuattro a little bit behind, but still in this top field. He has to win this now and hope that it's just enough to secure the win against Hedra. Everything is decided in these final 3 ice turns. Wide setup coming through from McQuattro. He is going to try everything that he can. Going close to the wall. Will catch up to a few cars. The second slide, Otak still in first. Mime ahead of him as well. Will McQuattro be able to win this one and at least have a shot? No, it will be Otak ahead of Evon. Hedra, McQuattro gets 4th. But with that, is Otak getting close? No, it should be the same positions.
It's enough for Mime to actually stay in the lead and thus take the win at the TMGLC final for 3 points. 327 for Mime, 324 for Otak. And so he will get top seed and 1,000 euros in the bank, 500 for Otak in P2 and 200 for Evon in P3 with 260 points, and Hydra in the end prevailed versus MiQuattro to get that final spot in the head-to-head. Big props to MiQuattro though. Give it a round of applause in the chat because he actually gave it his all. He really battled right until the very end, and yeah, that can only be commended. I can only expect the Flying Finn to come back stronger the next season and try to put up an even bigger fight.
And let's not forget too, McQuattro going into that match started with 10 points and Hedra started with 45. So there was this 30.5 point deficit that he actually caught up, but his regular season performance was not enough to give him the points he needed to win. So still a really good match today from McQuattro and really positive signs for the future.
Yeah, indeed. We do have our seeds as well for the TMGL Challenger matchups for the head-to-head. Mime will be facing off against Hydra, a bit of a better matchup, it seems like, for Mime on this occasion, whilst Otak will be facing off against Evon, and the winner of each of these rounds will be facing the loser of TMGL 1v1s, which means that for Mime, he could face off either against Worker or Carl Jr. So yeah, there could be some pretty stonking matchups coming up on January the 9th.
Crazy.
Make sure to tune into that because that's going to be amazing.